Hello my lovely witches, and welcome to a new video. This one's a little bit different. This is sort of sponsored content. I was asked by the lovely Meghann from Meghann and the Moon, also from Art for a Spell, to review her business Art for a Spell. It's an online art witching community, teaching space, sharing space, etc. that is a subscription service. So I knew of Art for a Spell. I've known about it for a long time. I knew that she was going to do something a bit different with it this year. And as I said, what she has done is created an online platform that you subscribe to each month. And each month there are lessons and activities from a variety of different teachers. And it's a space to also create community for art witches. So she reached out to me and offered me 3-month membership gratis. Thank you, Meghann. In order for me to review it, do the lessons, and then come back and tell you guys how I felt about it. So although this is something she has asked me to do, my opinions are my own. And I will tell you that apart from the 3-month membership that she has granted me, she's also offering, and I'll put it in the description down below, a code for you to, if you click through that link, to sign up to the courses or to sign up to the membership, I actually get a small commission. So that's the very transparent facts. I've got notes in front of me because I don't want to miss out anything that I'm going to talk about. And I do want to give you my honest opinions on everything. I will say just off the bat, I think it's a really great endeavour, and I think it's got a lot to offer. It's a variety of different types of lessons. There's not just lessons, there's also a monthly collective tarot reading. There are printables and downloads from some of the lessons or some of the teachers. There's everything from quite basic art witching techniques through to quite advanced techniques. So there's something, I think, for everyone. I think it's probably more weighted to the simplistic or, you know, basic techniques. So I think if you're new to art witching, this platform is going to be absolutely fantastic. But I do say that there's definitely something for the more experienced art witch as well. And I mean, even the teachers, some of them are really highly experienced teachers and have been teaching for a long time. Others are newer to teaching, which I think is great because that gives, you know, those people wanting to get into the teaching space a go, you know, a start. So that's kind of cool. And as I said, there's various different lessons. There's a lot of content on there for what you get. I mean, with the exchange rate with Australia, the monthly fee works out quite high for me personally if I was to sign up. But it's still quite reasonable. You know, it's not out of the realm of possibility. So I think it's fairly accessible for most people. Maybe not for everyone, but certainly for most people. So to dive in, the first thing I looked at when I got onto the site or the platform was there's a variety of different bookbinding technique lessons from several different teachers. And the one that I have been wanting to try for a long time is the stab stitch method or Japanese binding method to make a book. And that lesson was offered by La Green Witch. So, I mean, you know that I'm a bit of a fan of hers. Love her lessons. So for my first go, I actually created this stab stitch book for a particular lesson that she had later on. Really actually enjoyed this. This was great fun to do. It was a lot easier or a lot simpler than I thought it was going to be. I've seen lessons and I've looked it up on YouTube before, and I found that I felt overwhelmed watching it. But once you actually start to do it, it's actually really easy. So that was really fun. There are other methods as well. So that was cool. Let me just refer to my notes so I'm not missing anything that I wanted to say. Okay, the next thing I looked at, I have watched all of the lessons. I haven't done all of the projects. One of the first ones that went up there is one by Meghann, which I absolutely love. It's Flow State Oracle cards. I didn't actually create anything for this because it is very, very similar to the way I create my manifestation cards, which I've talked about here on the channel before. But essentially they're just little mini spells, or an oracle deck in this particular instance. I have made myself 3 different oracle decks, and I didn't feel like I really needed a new oracle deck made by me at this stage. It's not to say I won't do it in future, but for now I didn't. So I didn't actually do that lesson. So the first lesson I did do was a lesson by my friend Emily, Fern and Oak Art, on snake magic. It was a sort of a snake magic. It was meant to be in bulk, or those vibes of kind of drawing things in. My interpretation of that, it not being in bulk time of year here in the Southern Hemisphere, was more to draw in new job opportunities, because I'm currently looking for work. So I had slightly different materials from the ones that Emily used in her lesson, but I think it worked out quite well. Essentially, you're writing stuff down on the page, and then using a sort of a template, and that could be a stencil, or it could be like a what do they call it, like a blank to go over. I can't remember that. A masking kind of blank. And then using various art materials to create this snake image. I really enjoyed this one. The concept is quite straightforward, but it was a really interesting technique to bring it into being. So highly recommend that lesson. Then there was Meghann's monthly vision board lesson, which is also great. I do sort of vision board or collages at the full moon, so you know it's along those sorts of lines of what you want to bring in a month, which was really cool. Then there was a great lesson from Galaxy Coop, who I have subscribed to her YouTube channel. She doesn't have a lot up there really, but this lesson was kind of cool. She did things on stamp carving. As you know, big fan of stamp carving. And she used 3 different techniques for stamp carving, one of which was using like a rubber blank and carving into that. But she also did things with foam, foam sheets, which I thought was cool. I have used foam sheets to make stamps before, but I've used them as a sort of a cutout. And she did a technique where you sort of engrave into them, which was cool. She also used modelling clay as a stamp, a sort of ephemeral temporary stamp, which I thought was also a really interesting idea. So something new there. I also liked the way she came up with her sigils. And my traditional sigils tend to be the sort of chaos craft method of using the letters in a statement. And she was encouraging looking up other symbols. One of the things she suggested was a book by, oh my God, my brain, I tell you, Scott Cunningham. I mean, everyone knows Scott Cunningham. In several of Scott Cunningham's books, there are symbols for use in magic. I also have another book, which I'm just seeing. I'm in my library. I was not as prepared for this video as I should have been. I was going to get this book out and I can't find it. It's called the Crone's Book of Charms and Spells. Hang on. Oh, yep, I found it. Hang on a sec. Oh. Okay, so I also used this book, Valerie Worth. Now, this is an old book. I've no idea if it's still in print. 1999. So, yeah, it's an old book. But I liked the vibe of these, and I haven't really looked at any of these symbols in years, and so it was a kind of fun way to create my own sigil. So I used a combination of various symbols, including some runes, some symbols of my own, and some symbols that were inspired by this book. So that was kind of cool. So this is the stamp that I made. And then I did a spread, which I'll show you. Using the stamp for new opportunities. As I said, still looking for a new job. So this was the stamp that I created with the Ouroboros and the sun and some runes and symbol of infinity. And I created this spread using also some apple stamps from my apple tree and some words and what have you to encourage that as a spell. So that was a great lesson, and I highly recommend that one as well. What else have we got? There's oh, there was a money spell spread that I quite want to do. Again, using some collage and some color magic. That was a lesson by Meghann. There's a new lesson up from Rory. I'll have to find her Instagram handle. I don't think she has a YouTube. Anyway, using art sort of intuitively and color based for working with the elements, balancing with the elements, which is also a kind of cool idea. And the last thing that I did was a lesson by La Green Witch, which was a little bit more, I would describe as advanced. So I used my book that I had created, and this was a lesson about the Holy Grail and about world building, which the purpose of that in witchcraft is to develop and get better at visualization, because visualizations are a really, really important part of witchcraft. Visualizing your goals and intentions is absolutely key to, in my view, successful spell work. So I love the imaginary. I love getting into my head and living in an imaginary space at times. You know, it's a real joy. It's sort of akin to the way children play when they're playing make-believe, that sort of stuff. And they really genuinely live it. They're really imagining it. And I think that aspect of visualization is fantastic. So she takes you on a real journey. She does a little meditation at the beginning about the Holy Grail and where it might be situated, what it looks like, how you feel about it, and she goes into a lot of detail. She suggests you then write down and create notes on what you see and where you are, and you know what this whole world that this Grail is in, where it's located. I really enjoyed this project. She went a lot of steps further than I did when I did this, because I wanted to get it done for this video. So the one thing I liked about this is a 2-part lesson. The one thing I liked about it is it can expand. You can just continue to build on it and build on it and build on it. So these are my sketches and notes and things for where and how my Holy Grail is and what it's for and why it exists and where it lives and how to find it. So after that, you then create an accordion book, which can be added to. You will see it's a one-sided accordion book. but you'll see, you know, I've glued the pages together here, and that's why this flap is still left in case I want to glue further pages on and create more information about this world. So it sort of starts at the micro with the actual Grail itself, and then you expand out, and this is where it sits. And this is a bit more detail about the land in which it sits and the building in which it sits. So there's a lot more detail to that lesson, and I'm not going to give away all of what she talks about. But I freaking loved this. And because it was her lesson, I tried to actually use a lot of her stamps in my creation of this book. So you'll see I've used her stamps here and along the edges, and also in on the edges of this little book as well. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that lesson. It's very detailed. It goes into a lot of depth, and it's a project that you could work on for absolutely months and create something really elaborate and really detailed. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all the lessons that are up there at the moment. I will say I really did enjoy the monthly tarot readings. I don't normally go for collective tarot reading. I feel on a general level that it's a little bit like seeing a horoscope in the newspaper. You know, there are 1,000 more, hundreds of thousands of people who are born in a particular period of time with their sun sign. And to do a collective reading for all of those people is, in my mind, somewhat insane. However, Meghann is a very talented tarot reader. She's a very experienced tarot reader, but very talented. And her most recent reading was so spot on for what's going on in my life right now that I felt like it was almost a direct reading for Corrigan. It was a little bit spooky. Thank you, Meghann. There's also a lot of chat between participants, sharing of work. So there's a real desire to create a community. It's quite small at the moment, but that's nice. It makes it quite intimate. There's also a zine sort of sharing exercise going on at the moment for what Vanessa Oliver-Lloyd describes as craftivism. So I suppose that's activism using witchcraft. I haven't really been getting into making zines in recent years, so I didn't actually do anything along those lines. I'm also not the most global activist type of witch. I think that's absolutely sensational if that's what you do. And I will do some, but it's not something that's a really big focus in my practice because I'll be honest, maybe it's selfish, but I have a lot going on in my own life that I need to focus on. And I find that my mental health gets really, really, really bad when I focus on the really scary, horrible problems in this world. See, I'm tearing up just even thinking about it. So, not something I've actively participated in. Moving on, in summary, I think this is a great platform. I think it's really awesome if you want to connect with some other art witches and want to learn some new techniques. There's a lot on offer. I'd recommend it. Give it a go. So I will leave the links all down below, including those affiliate links for you should you choose to sign up and you want to use those affiliate links. I would be very grateful, as you have come to understand in this lesson, or this video, not a lesson. In this video, I have mentioned the fact that I'm looking for work. I was recently made redundant, so at the moment, any income I get, however small, is helpful. So if you do want to sign up to Art for a Spell, I would definitely appreciate you using those affiliate links. However, you don't have to. And you don't have to sign up at all. That's totally not, no pressure. I understand the cost of living crisis out there is meaning that more and more people have to cut costs, not increase them. Having said that, if you want to spoil yourself, I think this could be a really fun way for you to do that and yeah, join into a nice Art Witch friendly, safe space and learn some things. So I hope this has been an interesting video, and I hope that you are all doing well out there, and if you're interested, that you go check out Art for a Spell. Bye bye my lovelies, and see you in the next video.